Well, it's an early morning, everyone. Thank you for being with us. I want to outline to you a sad ending to a troubled life. Chance Christopher Hagel was 20 years of age. And let me give you some background first. He was Baker acted by the Florida State University Police on at least 2 occasions. He was also Baker acted by the Tallahassee Police Department on 1 occasion. That was prior to September of last year. We don't have the exact dates. On September the 25th, he was Baker acted from his home at 138 J Drive in Winter Haven, where he lived with his mother, because he said he wanted to kill himself. On 12/9, we did a follow-up on that Baker Act. He said that he was on his medication, that he was seeing a counselor and going to church, and he was okay. But in the meantime, after the 9/25 and the 12/9 checkup on October the 17th of last year, he was Baker acted again. He said he wanted to kill himself. He was Baker acted at the same address. We followed up with him on 11/4 after the Baker Act. He said he was doing better and that he had moved to his aunt's house at 308 Michigan Place in Poinciana. 2 days later on 11/6, November the 6th, we Baker acted him again at 308 Michigan Place because he said that he wanted to kill himself just 2 days after we followed up with him, and he said he was okay. On 11/20, we followed up with him from the 11/6 Baker Act. He said he was okay, he had no more suicidal thoughts, and everything was all right. It's important to understand at this point, every time we Baker act someone, even though it's not required, we go back and follow up with them after they're out of the hospital to make sure they're on their meds, they've got their meds, everything's going well. And it's our follow-up because we don't believe there is sufficient follow-up on these folks that are mentally ill or showing proclivities of committing suicide. So now we're to February the 10th. We Baker acted him again because he wanted to kill himself. When we arrived on that particular occasion, he said it was a prank call, that life was boring, and on February the 10th, he told us, "I'll die in a couple of weeks." On 2/24, we followed up again. He said he felt good, he was on his medication, and he was having no more suicidal thoughts. And then last night came. We received from a young man at Florida State University, a friend of his, a frantic call and a Facebook post. I'm sorry, a Snapchat post. And this is a Snapchat post that we received last night. It's really a different look than his normal pictures. And it said, "Tell me why the bleep I shouldn't kill myself. Life is so bleaking boring. I don't want to work for the rest of my life. We're so irrelevant in the grand scheme of the universe. I'm never going to fall in love again. Nobody wants a trailer boy." At the same time we were receiving this call, we receive another call from a lady that is described as Kim Shepard. She apparently went to the Winter Haven Police Department when she received information from her nephew, who is an FSU student. We don't know if Kristen that called us from FSU is that friend or not at this point in the investigation. As you can imagine, this occurred overnight. But Kim said she called law enforcement because she received information from her nephew, an FSU student, and that this person was going to kill himself. During this period of time of these 2 phone calls, our dispatch center called back to the residents at 138 J Place. And during this time, we talked to the mother. Because the reason we wanted to call back and talk to the mother, in some of this rambling conversation, he had said he had killed his mother and he was going to kill himself. Well, our dispatchers talked to Mom, and she said, "No, I'm alive, but I'm not well." She said that she was concerned and that her son had her shotgun. So, of course, all this is happening at one time. We're dispatching deputies in emergency mode. We arrive at about 11:15 last night. When we arrived, we heard a disturbance down at the end of the street. And during this period of time, let me tell you, several phone calls back and forth to 911. They would hang up on us. And on one of those phone calls, the mother said, "He wants the cops to kill him, and he's got a shotgun." So now the deputies have arrived. When they arrived at the house, they hear a disturbance at the end of the street, and as they make their way toward the disturbance, they find Mom and son fighting over a shotgun. The son kicks and hits his mother, grabs the shotgun, and flees from the deputies. We set up a perimeter and start looking for him. Our deputies paired off as he is now running through a mobile home community, and we're trying to locate him. We see him at one point in time. We get a glimpse of him as he runs through the mobile home park, and we confirm once again that he has a shotgun. He flees out of our vision. We're working a perimeter, and that's where Deputy Green and Deputy Hicks, who have paired up, come upon a house at 96 Laura, Laura Lane. And as they're coming around the corner and flanking the residence, Deputy Green sees something up against a bush, and the guy comes out from the bush holding the shotgun in a port arms position. Deputy Green begins to tell him to put the gun down, drop the gun, drop the shotgun, drop the shotgun. As Deputy Green is about 10 to 12 feet away telling him to drop the shotgun, Deputy Hicks has flanked Deputy Green, and they're both giving him commands to drop the shotgun. But he doesn't. Instead, he points the shotgun at Deputy Green, and that's when Deputy Green and Deputy Hicks both shoot. They shot about 17 times, and they struck him several times. Once he went down, and they were able to separate him from the shotgun, obviously at this point, then they began CPR. However, the shots were fatal. So when you look at this set of circumstances, that's why we call it the classic suicide by cop. We went above and beyond, and this is one of those examples where we weren't able to stop this unfortunate set of events. I can't speak for whatever the mental health world was doing, but add them up. Look at the number of times that he was Baker acted. Look at the number of times above and beyond we went back and checked on him. And still, we ended up with what would have been a gunfight had we not appropriately shot him before he could have shot us. So at the end of the day, this is a sad ending to a tragic ending to a sad set of circumstances. Mother had called us on many occasions. He lived with Mom. She is certainly understandably upset. We all would be if it was our child. But this is one of those opportunities where how much responsibility did he have to stay on his medication? How much responsibility Did the system, the mental health system, have to help him? Did they fail him, or did he just absolutely ignore everything that they tried to do for him? The investigation is ongoing. It's pretty straightforward. It'll take time for us to get through our forensic events. Oh, by the way, he also received a Marchman Act along the way, I believe in December. Was it November or December? He also received a Marchman Act to try to help him. So, was he on other drugs last night? What caused the final eruption? But it's a sad situation. But this is one of those things where, despite all of our efforts to the contrary, and us sending him to mental health facility after mental health facility after mental health facility, and us going above and beyond and following up, we've got a 20-year-old young man that's dead because he pointed a gun at us last night, and the deputies did exactly what they should have done, because no one has a right to threaten to kill us, and certainly the deputies protected themselves, which was, we wouldn't expect anything else. But there were a lot of opportunities in advance, and for whatever reason that failed. I do give this editorial comment. I'm not defending the mental health system. They need to have a lot more tools and do a lot more work. You know, there was a time when we had someone like this, time when I worked here as well, where we could put you in on a Baker Act, and we could go get a court order and have you taken to a state hospital and make sure we got long-term commitment and help for you. That doesn't exist anymore. So, why I applaud our staff and our deputies who tried time after time after time, and certainly I have nothing but total support for our deputies last night, because they did exactly what they should have when they tried to help him one last time. His decision was, and his mother was accurate, that he wanted to commit suicide by cop, and that's exactly what he did. Any questions?
Do you have any idea how many times he was Baker Act? I know you gave a set of timelines.
Well, that I know of. Now keep in mind, we're just hours after this. There's three times in Tallahassee, 4 here, 5 here, 6 here, 7 here, and on the 7th time, and keep in mind, not only 7 times, but there was a follow-up to our 4. So there was at least 8 different interactions with him.
7 times since last year also.
I mean, 7 total.
7 total. Yes, that's what I counted. 3. Ours was 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 total, plus our follow-ups to our 4 times. So that's what that I'm aware of, plus the Marchman Act, which was 8. There were probably, do the math, 11 different interactions with him. But listen, folks, you all know this. We're short-term problem solvers. We turned him over for more extensive help. Now, he's an adult. If he resists and turns away the help and refuses to take the medicine, he's an adult. He can make that decision, except if he's mentally ill and we can get him some long-term help, but the system hasn't been there for that. The horrible thing is what you see. But what set of questions would we have had today had he gone into a school or a business and shot some people, and we had this many different interactions with him and tried to get him help? I mean, we not only Baker Acted him, we went a step further and followed up after every one. But this shows you that no matter how many checks and balances you have in the system, there appears to be at least 11 interactions. He still ended up in a shootout, or we did the shooting, he didn't, but when he pointed that shotgun at us, he still ended up shot last night. Okay?
Is he holding it, or did he point it?
He pointed it directly at one of the two deputies.
How far apart was he from the?
About 10 or 12 feet is what we estimate.
I know it's early in the investigation, you may not have this answer. You said there were interactions with deputies and this person, 20-year-old. Do you know if the deputies that were involved in last night's shooting, were they the same deputies that interacted with him prior to this?
We don't know that. Weren't told that last night. I believe they would have said that we were and had interacted with him. But we had written documentation where we dealt with him before.
What did the mom say? If you had an opportunity to.
Oh, she's not happy, but you can imagine she wouldn't be happy. I mean, but mom was all over the place.
Frustrated with her son or more frustrated with the system as a whole?
I think she's frustrated with everything. I mean, thankfully, she gave us a heads up. You know, he's got my shotgun. He wants to commit suicide. You know, she didn't call it suicide by cop, but wants y'all to kill him. And once again, in the ensuing days, once we get the 911 tapes out of the system, we'll be able to tie the timelines together. But I from everything that I see initially, I'm so proud. Our dispatch center proactively called when we started getting these calls from other sources, because one of the calls we got from the other sources indicated she was dead. And of course, she answered the phone at the house, and they hung up, we called back, and they, you know, so there was a series of communications back and forth. And this is just a horrific scene, horrific set of events.
Did he say anything to the deputies before he was shot?
Not a thing that I'm aware of.
He lived full time with his mom?
Between his mom and his aunt, apparently.
And can you give the address one more time, please?
Sure, I think it's 138J, J-A-Y. It's just at the intersection of Thornhill and Spirit Lake. There's a mobile home community there.
The other address, the house.
The other one in Michigan, on Michigan in Poinciana, sure, we'll give that to you. It's 138J Drive in Winter Haven and 308 Michigan Place. It's actually a Kissimmee address, but it's out in Poinciana.
And then the house where he came out of the bushes,
That was 96 Laura Lane in the same community. Okay. Thank you all very much. And I don't know, are y'all covering the